What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review. Today with me, with the new mics coming out of Long Island, New York, we got my brother B.
What up, everybody?
We got my boy, your boy, Sanj.
I am vengeance.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the bat symbol. Because today's all about the Batman. If you didn't see Sanj already.
So I mean, if y'all are watching on YouTube, this is not a hoodie. This is a costume. It's like a full costume.
This is incredible,
with muscles
man.
and everything.
Yeah, with the muscles.
Oh.
If y'all want to see a full, you know what? Leave a comment if you want to see a full body shot. Maybe I'll post a full body shot.
That's
muscles and all.
That sounds so
not
bad.
safe for work.
Oh,
Gotta
man.
put the explicit tag on that one.
Yeah, definitely, man.
NS.
It's anatomically correct.
And listen, man, if you guys don't know, we're here to talk about the Batman coming out this Tuesday for the fans, coming out on Friday or Thursday for everybody else, depending on when you guys go to the movies. But for the fans of the Batman, people got a chance to buy early tickets for the IMAX showing that Al just found out is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Even though we've had tickets for weeks.
Dude, Al was going to show up on Thursday like...
Where's everybody at?
What time, guys? Stony Brook?
Oh, my goodness, man. But yes, man, the Batman coming out this Tuesday. It's going to be absolutely crazy. There's already some great reviews. So we're going to talk about what we're hearing, our thoughts, our feelings about what we're going to experience on Tuesday. And then at the same time, reflect on why this guy is the superhero that he is, how big and famous as he is because of the love we have for this character from all the years, all the iterations, all the movies. Let's get into this Batman prep. Get ready for Tuesday, fellas.
Yeah.
So listen, Sanj, you're already dressed up in the gear, my brother. So Batman clearly means something.
I don't think I'm taking this off until after the movie. So I apologize.
So
in
Sanj,
advance.
what is it about Batman that gets you to wear his uniform, to talk about him so much, and to love his movies and want to be so excited to see these movies that are coming out?
Oh man. We've had these conversations already, so we're well practiced at this.
Yeah.
We're going to do it now, on a recording. So for Batman, for me, first and foremost, it's the fact that he's not a superhero. He doesn't have superpowers other than his gaudy wealth. Outside of that, he doesn't really have a superpower. He's bright. He trained as a ninja, and he's full of rage. That's what drives him. So I mean, I like that the danger in the story to him is real.
Right.
He can be killed.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he has a set of values that he does not stray from. He's incorruptible, and that's what the Joker likes about him too. Him just as him as a hero. The stories, I mean, they've given us some great stories, great Batman stories throughout the years. So that's another reason to like him. But it's really that I won't say he's relatable because he's very wealthy, so he's not really that relatable. But the fact that he's a human being
Mm-hmm.
in a suit doing all these things for the good of others, really draws me to Batman. And then the darkness of his character, like, not that Batman wasn't always such a dark character, but when they started portraying him in a dark way, for me that's kind of where it's relatable for me. I just like dark characters. I kind of relate to that.
Gotcha, man. And how about for yourself, man? I mean, I remember from when we started hanging out, we would watch all these movies like The Matrix and other stuff, but when it came to Batman, dude, that stopped the game there. I remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, and losing our mind. Maybe not so much with the Michael Schumacher ones, but what is it for you about Batman that you like so much? Is it the villains? Is it the story? Is it, like Sanjay says, it's kind of like almost relatable because he is the only human character out of all these superheroes in the DC world?
Yeah, I think it's that for me because same as Sanj was saying, like he's human, so there's no special power. He didn't get bit by a radioactive spider or anything. So he's one of the few superheroes where we could put ourselves, in our mind in that situation and say, if I had those financial resources, if I had, that happened to me, I would do that. Like, because how many times have we said, oh, if so-and-so if this would have happened, or if somebody would have do this to my daughter, parent, brother, sister, or whatever, whatever, I do what X, this story is all about someone doing that,
Right.
having that response, having the resources and actually responding and saying, you know what, I'm gonna fuck people up and actually going through with it and having the resources to say, all right, not only did I get the guy who did it to me, but I'm now going to go after everybody that's doing it to somebody else. So, there's a lot of relatability, like Sanj said, to that character and somebody having that reaction. And, we can't see ourselves flying, but maybe we can see ourselves going into the street and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. Not that we would, but you can actually see that possibility, existing of you being able to do that. And I think that's what makes Batman so attractive to me. And I think, a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, what's crazy for me is that my experience with Batman is my love started for the Batman with the campy Adam West stuff. It wasn't even the comic books. It was making sure my parents put on the TV for me to watch Adam West and see Dick Ward and Adam West's version of
Burt Ward.
Burt Ward, I'm
Burt
sorry.
Ward as Dick Grayson.
As Dick Grayson, thank you. And then we seen, Adam West playing his version of Bruce Wayne and Batman with all these campy, Jokers, Catwomans, and Penguin and Riddler. That love for those characters came from that show that led me to buy those comic books. And I was like, this is not that show. The comic books are completely different. It's a little darker, like Sanjay's saying. And it just got me more invested into the character because now I'm like, okay, this is not the guy I'm seeing on TV. This guy is crazy, and he's got issues. But also the cool gadgets, the cars, and the different types of way that he would fight his villains was always interesting to me. So I always fell in love with the Batman, really because of Adam West, man. Adam West, that whole campy pow, bang, and the zaniness of those
sock.
Yeah, exactly. That's where that love started from early on in my life with the Batman, and then it just got better from there. And that's the crazy part. From Adam West to the comic books to the animated Batman. No, actually, it was Michael Keaton's Batman first, then the animated Batman. Then came the Michael Schumacher stuff and everything else, and then it just kept getting better and better for me. B, how about for you, man? Where did your love for the Batman come from, and where does it stem from?
For me, I think it goes back to Batman the Animated Series. I consider that one of the greatest cartoons to ever exist. And to be honest, most of my favorite cartoons that aren't anime are superhero based and usually something created by or produced by Bruce Timm, who made Batman the Animated Series. Like it took Batman out of the comics. And for someone like my age, like when I was born, the second Batman movie was coming out, right? Because I think 1989 was the first Batman movie.
Right.
So the second one was coming out right after I was born. So like I had seen the movies, but like I didn't know the character, so it was just a guy in a black outfit and there's Danny DeVito as a big penguin, So it's like I didn't really get a lot of it. But then they made something for my audience, something for kids. They made a cartoon, and the cartoon was awesome. And the cartoon introduced you not only to his rogues, but as you grew up more with Batman and more movies came out, then you got Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing. Like you watched Dick Grayson become Nightwing from Robin.
Right.
You watched, I think Tim Drake. They skipped a Robin, but they went to Tim Drake, and it was a story of Tim Drake and Batgirl learning from Nightwing and just kind of like the evolution of them and their lives, and you kind of grew up with them over like a 4-season thing, but it was incredible. And then just having Batman kind of meet up with other superheroes and introduced me into the DC hero-ness. You know, like, I didn't know who Superman was. Like, I've heard the name, but never cared. You know, I knew who Green Lantern was. I heard the name, but never cared. It wasn't until they started working with Batman that I was like, oh, snap, this is cool. Like, oh, Superman does this. Oh, Metropolis. And I think the other thing for me that really sets Batman apart from every other DC superhero are his virtues. Like, you hear it all the time in every movie, every cartoon, that Gotham City is the worst place in all of the world. Crime is 100%.
Right.
Everything goes wrong on a daily basis. And this guy, who is a straight human, not a superhero, you know, he's committed to fighting that crime every single day. You know, you can go to Metropolis and Brainiac comes, and that's one day, apparently. You know, and then nothing else happens, and it's always sunny, right? And then you go over to Gotham, and it's always dark, depressing.
Raining.
It's raining always, and then everything's always blowing up. There's always a bank being robbed. There's someone's being held hostage. The mayor's hostage again, you know, and this guy's doing it day after day. No problem. No complaints. Just does it to do it.
I mean, that brings up an interesting point, B. Is Superman just doing a better job? Is Batman, like, not doing as good a job as Superman because his city's a cesspool? I mean, like... because Batman maybe only works at night. You know, it's like he's only got one shift covered. Like, you know?
The clock 8 a.m. comes around. I'm off. I'm sorry.
I'm out.
I gotta go.
If crime happens at 5:59 p.m., he's like, not yet.
Staring at it.
Yet.
He's like, I don't get paid overtime, so.
Robin's like, we get paid.
Man, which leads me to the next question, which is the age-old question that I've heard Sanjay ask, or actually Sanjay answer more often than not. Al, is Bruce Wayne really the mask of Batman, or is Batman just Bruce Wayne amped up? What's your answer to that?
I think Bruce Wayne is the mask. I think he, as a person, died the same day with his parents, and he became Batman. But to fit in, he has to be Bruce Wayne during the day, because so much of his life revolves around being the Batman that you always see the Bruce Wayne part of his life falling apart. Like, he has no personal attachments, he has no love interest other than, for the most part, the Catwoman and stuff related to the Batman figure. So, you know, I think Batman is the actual persona and Bruce Wayne is the facade.
Sanj, you ever clearly changed your mind on that, or you just still like, nah, man, Bruce Wayne's the mask?
No, I agree. I agree with Al 100%. Especially when, most poignantly, when he said Bruce Wayne died the same day as his parents. When they pulled the trigger on his parents, he died as well from that, and that's trauma. He's never stopped. He's never lived a life, right? From that point on, his whole life was about becoming Batman. From that point, even though he didn't quite become Batman at that point, Bruce Wayne was dead, and this new thing was starting at that point, and it manifested itself in the Bat. And I'd never seen it. I mean, I kind of understood it, but I'd never seen it explored so beautifully as in the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, because that was, I mean, it wasn't even an undertone. It was overt, because even it started with Alfred saying, because Bruce was, he was so focused on being Batman and ridding Gotham of crime. Alfred had to remind him, like, you know, Bruce Wayne is expected to do certain things to be known as Bruce Wayne. It's like, you kind of have to play the part. And even Alfred says you have to play the part. You know, that's when he like goes out and like picks up women and does outrageous billionaire playboy things, which is not in his persona. He's just doing it for show, just for people to be like, all right. And he acts like he acts like a jerk. He kind of acts like a boob. You know, he's kind of oblivious to everything going on around him. But it, again, that's the act. And even Rachel Dawes also touches on it. She's like, I see you now. You know, at the end of that first movie, she's like, she's like, Bruce is the mask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bruce Wayne is the mask. You really are Batman.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, and I can't be with Batman. She's like, I can't be that. But if the day comes that you put Batman down, I can be with Bruce. You know, and so it was explored so beautifully in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
trilogy.
it definitely was, man. Because I remember with the Dark Knight Rises, I remember by the third film, it was like he was just getting old by himself. He didn't want to do nothing. He was in his mansion by himself, just a curmudgeon.
Right. He had done his job. Batman had done his job, right? Yeah. And Batman could go away.
Yeah.
But then once Batman went away, there was no Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he had nothing.
Like you said, Hob, there's no Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Now, Brandon, man, there's been a couple of times in the movies where we've seen Bruce Wayne act a fool or act stupid because he needed to do something. And I know some of my favorite scenes was like, I remember the Michael Keaton when he was having his party in the mansion. He had to get everybody kicked out as well, or he was acting like he didn't care about certain things. I remember the famous one for me is the Jesus Christ. What's the Batman that just came from the Dark Knight? Christian Bale's Batman. I remember when he tried to act drunk in his own party and say things about the people who were just snobs at his party to get them out of the house before Ra's al Ghul destroyed it. You know, just a couple memories there of him, you know, towing that line of Batman and Bruce Wayne being a dick. You know, is there anything that stands out for you, Brandon, as far as like a time where you saw Bruce Wayne was having a hard time being Bruce Wayne?
Let's see. I mean, I would say it was in the first Batman, and he was with Vicky Vale, correct? Right? It was Vicky Vale in the first Batman?
Yeah.
And I remember that he was bringing her back to the mansion, and Alfred was surprised that someone was coming to the mansion, number one. And then it was like, when she was there, you could see she was interested in having the date with Bruce, but he was just like, he kept like looking at the clock. He was like waiting to be Batman. He's like, is this done? Like, you came to over. I gotta go be Batman now. like you know, and it's funny because like, you know, that was probably the most awkward way they've ever done it. You know, where he just wasn't interested. Like he went to the party and he's like, oh, Vicky Vale, we should go on a date. Then they had the date and he's like, I gotta go be Batman now.
I got a thing.
I gotta go press 3 keys on the piano real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think he didn't even know how to
worst chord ever.
Didn't he sit in this long table? He was on the opposite end.
On the opposite end of the table.
So awkward. So awkward.
Oh my God! How about for you, Al? Any time that you recall that where it was like Bruce Wayne was so awkward just being Bruce?
The time where I felt like he was showing that he wasn't as like with the Christian Bale Batman. He tried to play the aloof, entitled rich boy that, you know, doesn't take anything serious, except in Dark Knight, where he's speaking with Two-Face. What's his real character?
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent. And Harvey Dent is talking, and he's getting impressed with, okay, here's the guy who can take over, and I don't have to be Batman anymore. And you saw him start talking and getting interested in, all right, I can get out of being Batman. And you know, you see the wheels turning where now he wasn't acting aloof. Now he was, okay, I'm this rich guy and I can help you out and I can help you become the guy who I want you to be. You know, and he has that line where he says, I'm going to throw you a fundraiser. And, you know, the guy basically, Harvey Dent says, oh, I need more money. He goes, you don't understand. One of my events and you'll never need money again. You know, so to me, that
brag.
He was jumping on.
But I don't think he was bragging in that. I don't think he was bragging. I just think he was telling the truth.
Yeah, and letting him know, like, but he wasn't. If you remember that conversation, he wasn't coming off like the aloof playboy anymore.
Right.
He was, all right. You know what? This is the guy. Now let me be serious. I can get out of being Batman, and that was where I saw a little bit of a switch. And I was wondering if they were going to make it so that somebody else picked up on that.
Gotcha.
You know. So,
you know, not for nothing, that Dark Knight trilogy was also the first time. It was the first time we saw Batman get out of being Batman.
The only time.
But also the first time you see him want to get out of being Batman.
Yeah.
Right? Like Al was saying, like you could see visually his whole demeanor changed when he realized like Harvey Dent could be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you started to see, like Al said, started to see the wheels turn, like, yo, I can really stop doing this now. But we've never seen a story where he wanted to stop doing it, much less actually stop doing it.
Yeah. It's actually pretty crazy, man. And I love the way that they do that in the movies, where they show that it's kind of awkward being Bruce, because Bruce just wants to be Batman and beat the shit out of people. So like, it's just insane, man. But listen, what comes with Batman is the gadgets and the cars. And, he's known for all these crazy gadgets, the Batarang, the Bat Grapple, the Bat Tusi, the Bat credit card.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple of Batman things that's come out, man, but nothing more incredible than his cars. The Batman cars are always become iconic and just something that people always kind of remember or can kind of latch on to their favorites. So I just was interested in knowing, Sanj, I know you're a huge fan. So, what's your favorite, man? You got the Dark Knight trilogy with it was a bridge layer, was it?
The Tumbler.
The Tumbler,
yeah, which is half of a bridge laying
tank or vehicle.
Well, it was a bridge laying system, so that was the vehicle part of it, where it would jump, lay down the bridge on one side,
right,
jump to the other side, and lay down the other side of the bridge. So it's like dragging the bridge with itself. So I mean, the Tumbler was really cool. But my favorite, if I were to buy a Batmobile,
absolutely, yes,
and would be the Michael Keaton's first
with the sliding top door.
With the sliding top door,
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's Batmobile. That's my Batmobile. Actually, when we were looking at this house, we actually saw another house that was way out of our price range. It's not even like we were deciding between the two houses. I'm telling you, it was a mansion,
right?
And we were just like, let's go in. It had open house on it, and we decided to go in. We had a 3-car garage on one side and a garage and a garage door down to the basement on the other side. And the footprint of the house was the same. I mean, the basement was the same as the footprint of the house.
Right.
So I got it in my head that if I could afford this house, the next day I would buy a Batmobile and park it in the basement. And then I was going to buy a bat suit and like just go out at night and get my ass kicked. But in my mind, so it's great that you asked me that question, because in my mind, it was never a question of which Batmobile I would buy. I automatically saw myself in that Batmobile.
Gotcha, man.
That's why I tell that story.
Al, man, out of all these Batmobiles that we've seen in our life, man, which one is your favorite out of all of them?
I have to agree with Sanj. It was the Michael Keaton one, only because it was a mixture of the comic book and reality. Where it was exaggerated, but there was some realism to it, in the sense that the cockpit slid to protect him as he's driving through, and in case he gets shot at. Whereas, when you had the old classic one, they had the big opening. If anybody, they're driving into a crime scene with all these criminals, and back then, nobody shot or anything, but it wasn't realistic for what he would have been doing as Batman and going into. So just the look of it, the sleekness, just solid matte black, just that whole look and everything. The Tumbler I like in terms of functionality, but in terms of
it's a little aggressive.
Yeah, but in terms of overall look, blending the utilitarianism of the vehicle with just the elegance of what he could make it look like.
Right.
That was the Batmobile.
All right, B, come on, B.
Like the Tumbler was just function.
Yeah.
The Michael Keaton one was form and function.
Yeah.
Brandon, while these guys take like 15 minutes to make a left or a right turn without how long that car is.
That car has got to be, 47 feet long? How do you make a left?
Yeah, Brandon.
That's why there's a jetpack on the back.
If you can't handle big things.
Rude boy.
Man, if you drive big vehicle.
That's amazing.
And a small thing. Mind you, I drive a Hyundai Elantra. Two.
How about you, B?
Mine's black.
Which car you driving, B?
I'm gonna say this. I love the 1989 Michael Keaton. That first Batmobile, because it's the Batmobile that you found in the Batman animated series. Like, it's the one that they base everything off of. Taking comic book and making it real life, incredible. But I have a little fancy for the Tumbler.
I know which one.
I have a fancy for the Tumbler. And only because I agree with you guys. Like, it's very aggressive of a beast. Like,
get the fuck out the way.
Like, there's no reason. Like, if I ever saw that on the street, I'm just getting out of my car. I'm not even gonna be in the same street as that. But like, the only reason why is because in The Dark Knight, when that thing went kapow, and all of a sudden the left wheel just popped out a little bit, and it turned into the Bat Cycle. That was
freaking awesome. That was awesome.
That was the illest
You're like,
thing.
yes, he's still in the game. He's still in the game.
That was like the illest thing I've ever seen in a Batman ever.
Yeah.
I will say this about the Tumbler. The Tumbler looked like Christian Bale's Batman voice sounded. If that makes any sense.
Rugged.
A little too much. Very aggressive. Very
I
raspy.
think realistically, though, I would probably drive the 1966 Batmobile. So
Yeah. Let me tell you guys,
Realistically.
man. I've gone to so many comic book conventions. Even I went to one maybe about 2 years ago with the family over here close by in the Hilton in Farmingdale, I believe, or Huntington. And sure enough,
why are you always giving away our location?
I don't say home addresses, but I went to.
They know. You know what? They know they're gonna find you at that Farmingdale Hilton when there's a comic book convention.
I'm going to see Harv here.
We sign autographs, people. We sign autographs.
Yes, we do.
So, I mean, every time I go to these comic book conventions, no matter where, if it's there or Uniondale or somewhere else, they always have that classic Batman car out front. Someone's driving that damn car. And every time I see it, I'm like, I love that car.
You can rent them. You can
Really?
rent almost any of the Batmobiles. Like, just go online.
Don't tell me that.
Rent them.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Your friend's gonna have that car for his wedding.
Y'all get in.
Oh my goodness, man! Yeah, man, those cars they're incredible, and which has me looking forward to the Batman coming up on Tuesday to see what this new iteration of the Batmobile looks like. It's looking a little more realistic, more of a car that you can actually make in the house. So we'll talk about that Batmobile.
Yeah,
next week,
I'm
for
pretty
sure.
sure that's a Dodge Challenger.
Yeah. He just took the Dodge sign off of it. He's embarrassed. He said, I wanted a Durango. Inflation.
If his mechanic's last name is Toretto, I'm leaving.
You know what? I'm here for it. I really am here for it.
Oh my god.
I'm still holding out for the crossover with the Transformers, yo.
Yeah, man. But like, listen. So we got the cars, we got the gadgets. The gadgets are what the gadgets are. There's so many different ones. But the main thing that I think Batman is also very, very famous for in comic books, in the movies, is that rogues galleries, man. I mean, just besides the Joker, if we were to take away the Joker, I think that Batman's rogues gallery can still take on Spider-Man's rogues galleries, Superman's rogues galleries. I really don't think anything is as iconic as Batman's rogues gallery. I mean, he has the most incredible villains. Even from the cartoon, you got the twins, you got the, I forgot the Clayface. You have people that we've never seen in movies that are still incredible characters. I mean, they barely touched on the Scarecrow like they should have touched on the Scarecrow in the movies, but we still got a Scarecrow. But I mean, I love Batman's villains.
Mr. Reese.
That's not the Riddler. But B, man, tell me, man, what's one of your favorite villains of Batman, even if it's the Joker? What's your favorite villain?
Honestly, my favorite villain of Batman's is Mr. Freeze. I
Really?
love Mr. Freeze. I
Talk to
love
me,
his
man.
backstory. Like,
Hmm.
I think the coolest things about Batman's villains is they're all so multidimensional. You know, like
Yes.
you have the Joker, who is just chaos for chaos. You know, like you have Clayface, who was part of an incident that was out of his control, but he made it something that he can transform into something that can take control. You have Bane, who just hops up on steroids and now he can break the bat. You know, you have Poison Ivy, who got into an accident, and because of her love of plants, her plants brought her back to life and gave her, you know, some powers. And then you have Mr. Freeze, whose wife was dying of a sickness. I don't think it was a cancer, right? It was like some terminal illness,
It was a
and
terminal illness for sure. Yeah.
and he put her in cryostasis till he could discover a cure for it. And he turned to crime only because he couldn't afford all the things that could be done to bring her back to life. And you know, and so his whole being as a villain was just to save his wife and do whatever he could, you know, and then his powers, you know, even though he uses the freeze gun, you know, it's a gun, but at the end of the day, like the way he uses it, you know, the things he does with it, making the bridge, you know, everything like that, like he uses it as if he's ice, like Bobby Drake Iceman. You know, he could use that gun as if he is literally the Iceman himself. So like just his dimension itself, the way he interacts with Batman, like one of like the biggest things with Batman is it's always been seen that Batman always hated taking him down because he knew what the story was, you know, and that was one of my favorite things in the comics.
That's crazy, man. Al, man, I have to say, man, if I had to guess who your favorite villain is, I wouldn't be able to do that, man. I mean, so I'm interested in knowing who's one of your favorite Batman villains or a villain that you haven't seen yet that you would want to see.
Actually, one of the favorite ones, you know, everybody hypes on Joker because he's one of the bigger ones, but
Hmm.
Riddler was actually one of the ones I always liked because he made everything was funny. Like, you know, he was the villain, he was the bad guy, but there was always like, you know, a joke with his riddles, or you know, it was something more than just him committing the crime. You know, he wanted you to solve something in order to catch him, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm interested to see what this take is going to be with the Riddler, because it looks like they're making him more on par of a Joker, you know, where there's all these riddles and everything to figure out. But he really is, you know, killing people like the way Joker was, you know, in terms of being crazy and out there and really committing like heinous crimes. So Riddler was the one that I always found myself leaning towards wanting to see more of,
Hmm.
only because he was the one that I always felt never got the shine that that character should have gotten in the past.
Yeah, man. Listen, man, the Riddler is an awesome villain, and I think done correctly, which I think is what's going to happen this week, is the Riddler that's maniacal, crazy, and it's
Hmm.
not jokey. It's I'm going to kill you and find a way to make you suffer through it. That's
Yeah.
what I want to see. One of my favorite villains that I don't think has been done justice, but almost done justice, is Harvey Dent and Two-Face. I do not like the one that was played by the guy from Marshall, what's his
Oh,
Jones,
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy
Tommy
Lee
Lee
Jones.
Jones. I hated that Two Face.
Yeah.
The Two Face that we almost got in the Tim Burton series was Billy D. Williams. Maybe would have gone there, but the one that we got in The Dark Knight was as close to as great as possible. I just don't feel like he got enough time because it turned into Two Face, and then the movie kind of just went for like maybe another 45 minutes before it ended. It didn't
Yeah.
really give him enough
What
time
did
to
you
play
want to see?
around.
What did you want to see from his character that you didn't get to see, in your
Oh, just
opinion?
some more stuff, man. More fighting with the Batman because in the comic books and also in some other TV series, their friendship was really close. They were best friends. You know,
Yeah.
Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, or you know, I think Bruce Wayne really respected Harvey Dent and the way he saw things. So, like I said, as close to as good as possible they could do it. They did in the Dark Knight. I just would have wanted to see a self-contained story of Harvey Dent turning into the Two-Face and then having him going back and forth with the Batman would have been awesome for me to see that because again, the Tommy Lee Jones one, I just despised to all hell. And I don't know. I love the fact that he was a DA, that he was on the side of good. It's just that, you know, circumstances happened and then he got fucked up in the court case. You know, that's what happened in the comic books was there was a court case where I think a villain sprayed acid at his face and that's how he became
Mm.
Two-Face. this was still cool. Like I said, the way that it played out in The Dark Knight was pretty amazing. I just wanted more because it was so good. I just was like, give me more Harvey Dent,
Yeah.
Did you feel like they made him play second fiddle to the Joker in that movie?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think Harvey Dent and Two-Face, the character, the person himself in the comic books, could have done a lot more. But at the same time, again, the way they did it with the Joker and how the Joker used Harvey as, hey, look, I could even turn him bad. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was cool. I was cool with it. I just wanted more because I'm a fan of Harvey Dent and the Two-Face character, especially with the animated series. The Two-Face pretty cool. The blue and the white side. Like, this is crazy. But Sanj, I just know you too well, my brother. I already know. That's why I'm saving you for last here, my man. Tell us why Joker is awesome, my brother.
The reason why Joker's awesome is because he's the anti-Batman. He has the same set of values as Batman, right? He has a worldview, and he wants to promote his worldview, and you can't get him to stray from his view of the world. Batman's view is that he can control chaos. Joker's view is that you can't control chaos, and that's all the Joker's trying to do is prove his point to Batman. And I think Joker's actually low-key in love with Batman. Like, low-key, like in love with him. Because he doesn't want to kill him, just the same way Batman doesn't want to kill him. He tries to kill him, but he doesn't really, like, go for the kill when he could often do it, right? And they're both incorruptible. You can't buy the Joker, right? In The Dark Knight,
no way.
Right? In The Dark Knight, what did he do with his pile of money? Just burned it.
I could not believe that, dude.
Right? There was no amount of money that he wanted. He just wants to watch it all burn. And to me, there's just something there's a simplicity and a calmness in that. I just want to watch it all burn. There's a serenity in that I find. So I've often, I love Batman, but I've often said I kind of identify with the Joker. That kind of maniacal rage that he has. And the way he's just so comfortable expressing it. We don't even know what his real origin story is.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's always confusing.
Just the fact that I want to know where it all comes from. Joker's still such a mystery. We have no idea where it all comes from. We have a few possibilities, but it's just the way he tests Batman, and they go the back and forth, and he really is that mental challenge to Batman. Not in the sense that he's making him figure stuff out like the Riddler, which I think the Riddler is awesome. He forces Batman to be a detective. Like he really has to be a detective to figure the Riddler out. But the Joker just tests Batman in from a mental standpoint, from a mental health standpoint. How much can you take? And that's what the Joker's doing. Like, how much can I throw at you before you break?
Yeah.
And Batman never break, because breaking for Batman against the Joker would be Batman just flat out killing the Joker.
Yeah.
He just never does.
It's always funny because in the comic books, every time that Batman gets close to killing Joker smiles more. It's always it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's almost like, yes,
I'm getting him.
Embrace the hate, let it flow through you.
But is it because he knows Batman won't kill him?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah, he knows that they're the two sides of a coin, and I think that's what they respect of each other.
Yeah, Joker's like, there's nothing I can do. You won't kill me. Go ahead. And I'm going to keep doing worse and worse things to you, even like when he kills Jason Todd. I can kill Jason Todd, and you still won't kill me.
Oh.
Right? Like the Under the Red Hood story. That was great when Jason Todd turned around to Bruce and said, he even killed me. He took me from you, and you still won't kill him.
Yeah.
What is it with you? Batman? Hey, maybe Batman's in love with the Joker too. You never know.
Just absolutely crazy. And by the way, guys, you heard Sanjay confess all his craziness on here. So if he ever does a podcast by himself, call the police, people. Call the police.
Just watch it all burn.
Oh man. So now, Science, I got a question follow up for you, man. Is with just the movies itself. So we're talking the Michael Keaton, the Christian Bale, the George Clooney, the Val Kilmer. Is there a favorite in the movies for you for these Batman? And how we forget Ben Affleck as well. Ben Affleck just played him most recently with the DCEU.
I think if you're talking about the movies, I know there's been a lot of animated Batman, but you have to include Kevin Conroy's Batman in the pantheon of actors.
All right.
For me, it comes down to a tie between Christian Bale and Kevin Conroy. Even though Kevin Conroy's a voice, if you look at him, he doesn't look like Batman. But that voice, I think he's the only one that ever really captured the character. He captured the character best with the voice, the two voices that he does. The one for Bruce and the one for Batman. I really do feel like he's got the character down from an emotional standpoint.
Right.
But as far as an on-screen portrayal with the rest of it outside of the voice, it's Christian Bale.
Absolutely. All right. How about you, Al? I mean, there's a lot of debate right now saying that Ben Affleck is the best Batman because of the way he portrayed him in this series. I don't personally feel that way. I'm more leaning towards the Christian Bale version of Batman, but a lot of people also like the Michael Keaton version. So what's your favorite?
Wait, who did you send that one to?
Yeah, to yourself, Al.
For me, it's funny you say that because for me, it is the Ben Affleck one.
Oh, wow.
Not because I feel like he did a better job of playing Batman, but because I liked that Batman. Like I liked seeing Batman pushed to the point where he almost was willing to kill, because he was effing these guys up, and he wasn't you heard Spider-Man in No Way Home say he was pulling his punches. This looked like a Batman that wasn't pulling his punches anymore.
His Batmobile has guns on it.
So did Michael Keaton's.
Yeah. So and
the Tumbler has guns.
And he was it looked like, he was so angry and looking to take down Superman that he was even looking like he was willing to kill Superman.
Yeah.
He was definitely trying to kill Superman.
So like that was the Batman that I liked seeing portrayed because of that. Like, we or just earlier we were talking about Batman and his no kill rule, but this was the closest that I remember ever seeing Batman coming to killing, other than the animated. So in terms of a live action, this was, I liked that portrayal of Batman.
Gotcha. How about for you, B? What's your favorite?
Before you go to B, I got a question for Al.
Yeah.
Do you think that Ben Affleck's Batman was skirting his no-kill rule with Superman because Superman's not human? And he can justify it in his mind somehow, like this is not a human. This is something other. Not
because I don't think he was skirting it because he was not human. I think he was just skirting it because that's how big of a threat Superman was to because you got to remember everybody else that he's fought was on a human level. Like the damage they can conduct is on a local basis. This was damage that could be done on a global basis. I mean, you saw what was happening in the battle that they portrayed from Superman, Man of Steel. So I think he was like, listen, this is somebody we have to take out because he can take down the world. And, I think that the threat that a Superman posed if he were evil was something he was willing to say, now I have to take this guy out.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
So, B, talk to me, Tid. What's your favorite version of Batman, man?
I think, just like Sanj, I have to say that I think my favorite one is Kevin Conroy. Just because, from the Batman, the animated series, all the way up to the Justice League cartoons, just his voice making Batman, he was always Batman, and just the way he portrayed Batman made me even more of a fan of Batman due to I don't know, when you start taking a voice and putting it with that picture on the screen, and you can see how this Batman relates to things, how he empathizes, even though he's vengeance, even though he's the knight, he's all this. There was my favorite episode of Justice League ever, was the last episode of the Justice League. They actually did a tie-in. There was a show called Batman Beyond. It's a comic as well. It was the future Batman, Terry McGinnis. And that show was an incredible show. They had an incredible movie, and it was so good, but the show got canceled before it could finish. So what they did is they took the last episode of Justice League and named it Epilogue. And it was actually not only the last episode of the Justice League, but it was technically the last episode of Batman Beyond. And they tied both things together, and the story was Terry McGinnis is an older now. He's older Batman, and Bruce is on his deathbed. Basically, he's like in his 90s now, and he had just found out that like apparently he was selected to be Batman because Bruce Wayne's like Amanda Waller did this gene splicing thing. Bruce Wayne's DNA was in Terry McGinnis. That's why he became Batman. He was destined. It was crazy, but he was really mad at the whole thing. He went to approach Bruce. And Amanda Waller stopped him and told him a story about like the night it happened, and it was Batman was fighting the Royal Flush Gang, and one of the members is like a little girl, and it turns out she was dying. She was gonna die that night. Like her lifespan had just run out, and she was gonna die. And Batman just pulled up next to her on the next swing set and just sat next to her and waited with her while she passed away. He was there with her the whole night. And like it's a cartoon, but like the way they drew his eyes, the way his speech pattern changed to be empathetical of this other character was like a whole Batman I've never seen before. And it was like a really cool moment where I teared up watching this. And I was like 16.
Maybe he was playing. Maybe that's the most Bruce Wayne we've ever seen.
And that's like
it might not have been Batman. That might have been some actual Bruce Wayne.
And that was like the coolest thing I've seen, because like you took Batman, who was next to one of his rogues, one of his arch nemesis, and they were dying there, and he just pulled up a seat next to them. Like that was a very great sentimental moment for Batman, and this is an animated feature. So it was very nice, and like that is Kevin Conroy all the way. Like, they drew the scene, but he did it.
Wow.
Yeah, he sold it. Yeah,
that's deep, man.
Now I got to go see that episode.
That's great. Epilogue. It's the last one.
And you said it's a Justice League Epilogue.
Yes, Justice League Unlimited. The title of the episode is called Epilogue.
Okay.
That's deep.
Excellent.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. So now let's get into another thing about the movies here. So, Al, man, with 9 Batman movies, I believe there's 4 of those Batmans before The Dark Knight. So that's another 7, right? That's 3 plus 4, 7 plus the 2, Batman versus Superman and Justice League makes 9. Tell me, man, what's one of your most memorable scenes or favorite scenes in these movies?
It's funny. It's the Batman at the end of Dark Knight, when you see how much he really is willing to do as Batman, to the point where, we get that expression, he's not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve. Not the
hero we deserve.
Yeah. So like to see him actually do that, like where he let himself become the villain because he needed Harvey Dent to stay the good guy.
Right.
Because that's what the city needed. And it just showed how much he is really sacrificing in order to do what's best for the town and the city. This isn't an ego thing. This isn't this is to make me feel good. He really is doing everything he's doing for the sake of the people in that town. Mm-hmm. And it just, to me, exemplified what he was doing and how far he really was willing to go. Because he doesn't know at that point how long he's going to have to do this for. So he was willing to live the rest of his life as the bad guy, just so that the city could have the hero that it needed.
Gotcha.
So that was one of my better scenes.
B, talk to me, man. What's one of your favorite scenes in all of your Batman history with the movies there? Anything that stands out, there's something that you always remember and like, oh, that's amazing.
I would say, as much as this movie gets a lot of flack, I would say Batman vs Superman, the intro where Bruce Wayne, where that whole city's
Boy.
falling apart, and Bruce Wayne is
Yeah.
just trying to get through the city to the people.
You mean the Jeep placement?
Yeah, the brand new Jeep placement, and that scene though was just like that was Batman. Like that was cool. I would say like the entirety of the Christian Bale saga was incredible, but when it comes to scenes of Batman being Batman, like that's it. Like Batman willing to protect his people at all costs. The city is coming down because these aliens are fighting.
He's running into the
And
smoke.
I gotta do this,
Oh, that was one. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Sanj's about to beat it. Let me see, Sanj. What you got there? What's your favorite scene, man?
Feels like the day I was born.
The scene where Martha and Thomas Wayne get shot. No, I'm just kidding. Because without that scene, there is no Batman. How about them apples?
Which one out of all five?
I'll go
Let's see.
5. The Jeffrey D. Morgan one.
Take them all. Take them
Take
all.
them all each one.
Dang, dang. No, I'm just kidding. That is not my favorite scene. It's hard to choose. It really is hard to choose because that scene in the Michael Keaton Batman when they're standing on top of the roof and he's like, "Have you ever danced with the devil by the pale moonlight?" That was a great scene.
So what did you say?
Have you ever danced with the devil
say?
by the pale moonlight? And that because in that version of Batman, he was the one that killed his parents. The Joker was the one that killed his parents in that Batman. So it's like that realization for him in that moment, like, yo, I'm about to get the guy that got my parents, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I had to choose from every scene, the one that kind of got me the most at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman is about to go into the bat, when they realize they can't shut the nuclear device down, and he says to Gordon, I can't remember the exact words, but he basically reveals to Gordon who he is, and he says sometimes it's just as easy as putting your arm around a child when their whole world is falling apart. And basically, and Gordon has the flashback scene and they had that scene in The Dark Knight. The
Batman Begins.
In the Batman Begins,
Yeah.
In Batman Begins, right after the parents are killed, where you see a young Gordon putting, his cloak around, Bruce and whatnot. And I got to think that they did that on purpose so that they could flash back to that scene. Because I'm pretty sure Christopher Nolan had his whole thing plotted out that he was going to bring it back to that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he did. And, that realization in Gordon's, on Gordon's face at that moment, and he says, "Wayne," and it all like starts to make sense to Gordon in that. And then as Batman is flying off, and then, you see the scene and, he flies off and presumably to his death. I mean, for me, that was a scene unlike, you don't have a scene like that in any other Batman. Like, of course, the parents' death scene, every Batman movie has the parent death scene, right? Yeah. There's some sort of scene with the Joker in every version of it, but that's the only place you find that. So that's why I kind of always come back to that.
Gotcha, man. One of my favorite scenes that I always think about when I think about the Batman is also in The Dark Knight Rises, and it's something that people sometimes forget about, but it was when Bruce Wayne and Batman, he was in where Bane grew up, and Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul, was raised in the darkness there, and he was in the bottom of the cage, and I remember that he was still healing up, like he was still broken. I remember the people lifted him up and put him on rope to align his back again, and he was just done for. And I remember the first time he tried to do the, I guess it's like the wall jumps to get up to the top, and they were telling him how it was so hard and difficult to make it. And sure enough, he tried and he fell, and he had to heal up. And you get the little montage of him doing push-ups, watching what's going on into Gotham on the TV screen, and then just the point where he actually goes to try to make it, and you hear the music raise up, and you hear the crowd, "Mátalo, mátalo, baby, mátalo, mátalo, baby." You know, and I'm like, ooh. And sure enough, he's jumping, and it's like, yeah, man, that's Batman, dude. Like, just the big long jump that he almost didn't make it, he catches it at the last second, and that's when
and you just see his fingers.
Oh, you just see the fingers, and the music rises up because he's rising. Oh, the next scene is Batman in Gotham somehow.
Hans Zimmer.
How we got from where Bane left him to Gotham.
I mean, he's still Bruce Wayne.
True.
He's got assets and resources. He's just got to make a phone call.
Yeah, man. But that was one of my favorites. You know, also something I'll never forget also was when The Dark Knight, when he went to Japan to take the guy out of the towers with the freaking the balloon that went up into the sky, and the plane came and got him.
Oh, forget, yeah.
That was amazing, man. But yeah, man, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing something amazing and crazy with this next iteration of Batman, because look at all the stuff we talked about. We've been talking for almost an hour now just about Batman and not really getting into the depth of all his movies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So before we leave off this podcast, man, just give me what you're hoping for, what you want to see. And like, because honestly, guys, I've avoided somehow, some way, all these little sneak previews that they've been putting out on YouTube. Apparently they have a Catwoman fight scene on the YouTube. Haven't seen it, won't see it. They apparently put this church scene. I haven't seen it, won't see it. And they apparently put out something else recently. Not going to see it. I'm waiting until Tuesday. So I'm excited. I'm built up for this thing, and I'm hoping for a great movie. And, you know, like Al had said, Riddler's his favorite for the reasons that he has. I want to see a Riddler that is menacing, that is like, you know, a David Fincher movie kind of Batman. I can't wait to see this thing, man. Brandon, talk to me, man. What's your feelings, your expectations for this movie on Tuesday?
I'm just hoping this story kills it. Yeah, I'm no stranger saying that I'm worried about this movie. You know, there's a long length to it. There's just things I'm not really feeling out yet. So I'm hoping this movie blows me away. You know, that's what I'm praying for.
All right. Al, how about you, man? What you looking forward to on Tuesday, man?
I'm looking for, well, we all know there's going to be action. We've already seen that in the previews and the trailers. I'm hoping they show the thinking Batman that's on the other side of what Batman is. We always see the action, the fighting and everything, but if they're doing Riddler the way they seem to be doing, and you even see the one line where where Riddler says how the Waynes are involved, he's involved, and he goes, what do you mean? How am I involved? And he goes, oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were. Like, I want to see that back and forth on a mental level as much as there's going to be on the physical level. So if they can balance that out and show the thinking Batman, the detective Batman, as well as the fighting Batman,
right,
I think they'll give us everything that we wanted from the others, but always tended to get more of one.
You left out a line from that freaking quote, man. He also goes, "You're not as smart as I think, Bruce."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I lose my mind every time I hear it. I'm like, he already knows.
But I've held back on that because I don't know if that's them clipping it together to throw us off.
Okay,
so
I got you.
They've been getting crazy with these trailers to throw us off. So, like you, I've been staying away from everything just to see what it looks like on the theater.
Sanj, you're in your Batman suit right now, Sanj. What are you waiting for on Tuesday, man?
I can't say it better than Al said it, so I'll just defer to Al. He said exactly what I was thinking. I just want a little violence and rage sprinkled in.
A ditto from Sanj, yeah.
I mean, when somebody says it right, I'm not going to add anything to it.
Absolutely,
we're
man.
good.
So listen, guys, you just heard us talk about Batman from the cartoons, the animated series there, from all the movies and all the different iterations of Batman. I would love to know, which Batman do you love the most? Which Batman has meant the most to you? Who's your favorite villain? Any one of those, put that comment below on the YouTube and let us know who it is. And also, if you're not listening, or sorry, you're not watching on YouTube, go ahead and email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com to let us know who your favorite villain is, who's your favorite Batman, and maybe what you're hoping to see in this new Batman coming out on Tuesday or Friday or Thursday for you guys out there who haven't got tickets for Tuesday's event. So listen, coming out of Long Island, New York, we are the Real Fan Review. And again, with us today was my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
My man Sanj.
Good night, everybody. As always, it was a pleasure to be with you.
Our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Al, saying thank you guys for listening, for watching. Please hit that subscribe button or hit that plus symbol on your podcast app to make sure that we come up for you guys every time we put out a podcast. Next week's episode, The Batman Review. Yes, spoilers.
Oh, I've been waiting so long to hear those words. The Batman Review.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a great one. Make sure you, again, subscribe. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you guys until next time.